Hey, in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to set up this narrated walkthrough generator workflow. So what we're going to be covering is how you get this up and running from the template. If you download the template, and then once you've downloaded it onto the computer, if you click on these three dots at the top here, and then click import from file, and then select the file, it will drop all of the nodes onto the sheet. What you'll notice will be a little bit different, and you'll have little red X's on some of the nodes, and that's fine, that's to be expected. And what's happening there is this workflow is calling on external tools, and you need to set up your own login details and your own credentials for those tools, because those tools are being built. Of course, if the workflow came with all of those details, then you would have my API, my credentials logged in, and you'd be using all my credits and not yours. What we'll do, we'll get all of those bits set up. Really quite straightforward. And once you're in the platform, and like I say, you can click create a new workflow, click the three dots, import from file, and then you should have all of these nodes then on the sheet in front of you. And the only difference is they won't be green. This is all green with ticks because I've just ran the workflow and there's data still within there. From the beginning then, a few little bits that we need to do. You need to create those credentials that we spoke about. If you haven't already got an OpenAI API key, you're going to need to generate that. And there's a video on YouTube here. You can just click on the link, watch the video, I'll explain how to do that, and I'll show you where to put those details. And we're going to be using a service called FAL.AI. They are a AI aggregator. I like using them. I use them for a lot of the workflows. And the reason I choose them is because instead of having lots and lots of different subscriptions to all of these different AI tools that we can call with N8N, there's loads of tools all available on there. Check it out on their website, you can have a browse around, you see there's lots of different AI models. So instead of having subscriptions to each of them, all I do is just top up FAL.AI with credits and I get access to all of them. And their API documentation is really good as well. So that's why I like using them. We need to go onto those websites and then create those credentials. Again, there's another video here on YouTube that will explain that in more depth if you need it. And as we walk through in a sec, I'll show you where that goes. As we go through, I'm going to talk about how you can customize this workflow for yourself. You can choose a different voice and a different writing style. You can customize the output that this creates and some of the input. So we'll get into that and we'll start off with the on-form submission. When you click execute step, a little web form, just any form that you'd see online, a little form pops up and then you can put in the details that it's asking for. So the details that we've got in this form field is property description, for sale or rent, the property location, and then the property video URL. This is the URL where, like a publicly accessible URL where your video's online. So what I've got on here, this is the URL that I put in. And if you've seen the other workflow where it's creating videos from the images, so that link there is the link to this video that was provided from that previous workflow. If you copy and paste that link, there's a 10-second video clip. It's two images brought to life into 5-second clips and merged together. Now this is the silent video that I want to add the narration to, and then the property description. I've just put a brief description in there. You could copy and paste your description that you use on your portal, like Rightmove, for example. You could put your description of the property in there. And then a few other bits of information, and we'll see how that's passed along. Once you've submitted that form, the URL and the URL for the video and the description and details are in the workflow. What we've got here is an AI agent. If I open this up, and we read the user prompt here, this is essentially where you'd be like chatting to ChatGPT if it was in like a web interface. So here's the property information to turn into a spoken voiceover script. and then the property details, location, listing type. These green values underneath there are dynamic values that have come from the form submission. So where it says like property details there, that has been dragged and dropped across from here. So that's the property description, the location, and then the listing type. Now the AI agent needs this to be able to write the script. If we have a look on the system prompt, this system prompt is essentially giving the agent its role in life. And you can customize this system prompt to be able to fine-tune the output that you're getting. If there's a specific way, you could put in here that it was to be funny, for example, or more serious or more professional. It's really up to you how you would want to customize this. Of course, you can just copy this, and when you get the workflow, this prompt will already be in there, but you can customize this, play around with some different ideas. Now the output from this we have here, and basically it's taking the information from the form and then created the script. So that script now is ready to pass over to 11 Labs. Now we're accessing 11 Labs, which is a text to voice generator. I'm accessing them through FAL.AI. It's one of those things. You can sign up to 11 Labs and go directly to them for their API, but that would mean a subscription with them, and then another one for the other tools that we're using. You can see the value in FAL.AI here. You need to set up your credential for FAL.AI. So if you go into the FAL.AI website, create a API key, you can just have a look on how to set that up on that video that I've linked. And when you put in that in, just click on here, click create new credential, and then follow the setup. Really quite simple. And what's happening is we're posting a request to this URL, and you can see here it's going to the 11 Labs multilingual v2. And then we're going to send body, JSON, and then using JSON. Don't worry if it's starting to look technical, this just copy and paste. If you have a look on FAL.AI, all of the API documentation's on there, and that's where I've taken this from. The only difference is we see this dynamic value. This is the output that we have from our AI agent. So that's dragged and dropped across there. Now this can be customized as well. If you have a look in between these quotation marks here, we've got a code. If you go onto the 11 Labs website, we see there's lots of different voices.
Hello, I'm Ava. How may I assist you to...
You can click on the voice, so you just need to sign in, click voices. You can have a listen to the ones that you like. And if you see on the three little dots there, you say copy voice ID. Well, if you get that voice ID and then paste that in there, that's how you can choose a different voice. What happens when you execute the step on this one is that it posts that request over to FAL.AI. Now the voice, once we post a request, doesn't happen like instantaneously. Sometimes I watch this run and it is though it is happening instantaneously. What we need to do is polling for the result. That's what this little cluster of nodes is for here. So this request here is a get request, and now we see we've got a dynamic value. Well, once we post the request, we'll return these different URLs from FAL.AI. These will automatically pop up in the input section here. And what we want to do here is we see we've got the JSON status from the create voiceover. So that is this URL. And we can see that if we open it up. That dynamic value is just basically this status URL, the same as here. And then when this is a get and then status, we also need to include our credentials. So we just select generic credential type, header auth, FAL.AI. And this should all be set up for you. I'll just explain a little bit more in depth on what's happening. So if you've got downloaded the template, you shouldn't have to worry about this. Now when you get the status, there's a few different things going to be happening. Or a few different things that could be happening. So it could be in a queue, it could be processing, completed, or there could be an error. That's why we've got the fallback option. And this switch, what we're doing here is if the status, so we've got the status here, that's the dynamic value dragged across into each of them. If it's in the queue, in the progress or completed, if we go back, we can see more clearly what's happening. If it's, I don't know if you can see that behind there. What's happened there was in progress, it waited, that was lit up, it came round. You can see with the 2 there, that means it's had to do this a couple of times. It's come round. What's happening in the wait node? It's just waiting for 15 seconds. It gets status, it was in progress, wait for 15 seconds, back round, try to get the status again. And it will do that until we either get an error or it just completed. On completion, it follows to the next request. This is another GET request. This time, we'll call in the response URL. And then when we do a GET request to this response URL with our credentials, we will get this URL. And you can copy and paste this and actually listen to the audio file. Next node is a merge node. What we're doing, we've got a couple of things going on. We've got the original URL that sits in here, and then this AI agent has used all of the description and the other information to write that. Now we want to combine both the video URL and the new audio URL. And then the next one here, this edit fields node, this just tidies things up a little bit. So we've got audio.url, and then we put the dynamic value from here for where that's living. That's just been dragged and dropped across from there. And then we've got the video URL, and you see this is all the way back from our on-form submission. We take a look back here. That's this value dragged and dropped across. Like I say, this just tidies it up. Now we've got very clearly audio and the video URLs. Now this next request, we've got both the files that we need. What we need to do now is merge those together. And we do this using a really great tool called FFMPEG, which is also available through FAL.AI. And this also, we're posting a request again, but you can see that the URL's changed. And we can see we're posting to FFmpeg merge audio video. We need to put our FAL.AI credential in here. Once if you've already set this up, it should be in the drop down there. You just click the drop down, select the FAL.AI credential, and we're going to be sending body. And it's a little bit different this time. And again, this is from the API documentation. We've got is the video URL and the audio URL. That request gets posted to file, and then much the same as what was happening here, we've got the same happening again. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So what we're doing here is we're doing a GET request. This is the status URL, just in a different format, as we can see here. It's the same as the status URL. So we're getting the status, same as before. All of these status is the dynamic value from the top here. And if it's in progress or queue, it's going to wait, come back round, try again, keep going around until it's completed. And then we've got a HTTP request here. This time, this URL what we're calling on is the response URL. This dynamic value makes this URL that we're calling the same as the response URL there. And then the output from this one is this URL, which you can copy and paste into the browser, which is this URL then, where it's taken that clip with no voiceover, and then it's added the voiceover to it.
In London for rent. It is a light and airy
There's quite a lot of different options inside N8N of what you can do with that data. As soon as this is finished, it's going to send me an email. If you want to use that, then you will need to set up your Gmail credentials. So if you just go in here, click create new credential, you need to follow some steps through to be able to set up Gmail. And basically what I'm doing here is sending a message to my email address, And then in the message I'll put, here's your listening video, simply then with a link, and that green value then is this dynamic value URL just dragged and dropped across. And you can add more information in here. You put the property description, what was that, on form, and then you could drag this value across, drop that in there, you could include that in the email, and you could customize this. Now, the other thing that you could do is set up a data table. Inside N8N, when you're on your dashboard, you can see we can create workflows, and we can also create data tables. They work a lot like Google Spreadsheets. You can use Google Spreadsheets if you prefer. There's some videos on my YouTube channel about how to set up and use Google inside N8N, how to use Google Sheets, if you would prefer to use that. Or if you're happy to keep everything inside N8N, you can just create a new data table with the columns that you want. That I would say create one with the form, the same data as that's in the form in the beginning, and then we can update that data table with all of the information. Quite simply, what happens here, if we wire this up and have a look, all that information on the left there, you wouldn't need that email one, but this video URL, we could just grab that, drop it in there. The script, go property description. The script is the output from the AI agents. We could find the script writing agent, and that's the output from there. All you need to do there, if you can do that, you just put an insert row data table node onto the canvas. Sorry if I don't know if I'm rushing ahead there. You just find that on here, data table, and then insert a row. Select the data table, and then map each column manually. And what happens is, when this is new, there's a little thing come here, it'll just look a little loading sign, and then like we just done, we just drag those dynamic values across, hit execute step on that, and then that will send those over to the data table. And there we have it. That's the setup guide for the narrated walkthrough generator. If you've got any questions, you have any problems, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help. Also, if you're having problems as you're getting things set up, then ChatGPT is a great resource for helping to problem solve with N8N workflows.